I'm a registered nurse that decided to run for Congress.
My goal is just to make sure that everyone is represented.
Are we fighting or not?
And as I talk to folks are so excited.
Young people who aren't expected to vote, we're there with them so that their stories become part of why we're campaigning.
I think what's exciting about the 2018 elections are you have more women running for office, more black women running for office.
It's not just lawyers and business people who are running now, it's people who can tell their life story and it sounds like people who they're running to represent.
A lot of our candidates are people who are from the working class, are people who have decided for the first time to run for political office because they don't see themselves represented.
What are some of the main driving factors behind why people are running for office?
Frustration in many cases.
They're seeing what's happening to their communities and they're saying this shall not stand. And people are stepping up to protect their own people.
When it comes specifically to messaging, what tactics do you find work in terms of getting a message to stick when there's so much information out there right now?
The number one best tactic is what is the medium you're using. And so when we communicate with young people, we use text messaging. You get a text, you open every single one. And so we find SMS to be a really great way to communicate, especially with Gen Z.
Young people have the power, they have the agency. Their vote counts just as much as anyone else. And they can reach hundreds, if not thousands of people, and their voice is way more powerful to their friends than any brand, any organization. And so when they see people and those messengers like them making a message and talking about the election and talking about activism, they start to get excited.
Voter turnout amongst young people is notoriously super low, and especially in midterms. And so how do you actually get them there?
Millennials and Gen Zs are actually, if they voted, would be the largest voting bloc in this country. And I think being able to have a conversation with our young Americans of color, that their vote actually matters and it can absolutely reshape the face of what leadership looks in this country is inspiring in this election cycle.
There's a reason why people do things, and it's because everyone's doing them. And so if we create a culture where, of course, you're voting on election day, that will go a long way into changing the culture around who votes and who doesn't.
In order to get people out to vote, you need to make it about community, you need to make it about identity. And they found over the last few years through testing, doing randomized controlled trials, that when you host a voting event, you can increase participation. When you host it at the polls, when you host it on election day.
I think that election day should be a national holiday. We need to remove barriers to voting. And so when we talk about young people not turning out to vote, sure, we need to inspire them. Sure, we need to show them why it's important and demonstrate the impacts on their own lives. But I think first and foremost, we need to make it easier by removing barriers to access the ballot.
What do you think separates a winning candidate from a losing one?
Oh boy. I think now what is separating people is the passion and the motivations for why they're running.
2018 has completely changed the playbook. We have an opportunity to send a record number of people of color and women of color to Congress. We are going to forever change what viable candidates look like, what viable candidates' campaigns look like.
I think putting in the work and having a laser focus on your goal and your goal to serve your community, I think that makes the difference for a candidate.